The Leading Edge Cricket Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast, episode 31. I am Rob, one half of the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast, joined bright and early by my co-host Rich.
Hey Rob, what's going on?
We're good, mate. We're 3 nets down into your English season. A bit of water's drifted off the pitch. How you feeling? How's your length? Hit your straps?
Not bad. Supposed to play on Sunday, but ended up putting decking down in a pavilion of a new cricket club we're using because we can't play on our pitch yet. So that wasn't really the warm-up game I had in mind, putting decking down.
Yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one, that, isn't it? But I bet you measured it up right, got the right length, and put a few strides down.
I'll give it a good screw, mate.
Good screw. So when is the first game? So the Saturday season in England is the main day to play cricket. So your first game of the season should be this week coming up?
Yeah, that's right, mate. Yeah, but I'm on a stag do in Manchester, and then Forest's last game of the season at Bolton on the Sunday. So it's not quite the start of cricket season for me just yet. But with the weather around, it's not the worst decision I've ever made.
I see what you're doing. You're trying to avoid the cold weather and the 3 jumpers to have to bowl, aren't you?
Yeah, too right. Did you not see Peter Siddle this week?
Yes, I did. Peter Siddle
bowling in a black beanie.
That's incredible.
How cold it is in England.
That is so club cricket and amateur. It's made it cool that it's hit the pros.
Yeah, before I saw that on Sunday, I did actually chuck my beanie in my cricket bag just in case we did play.
That's incredible, mate. Well, I wish you the best of luck for 3 weeks' time, and I hope you survive the stag do.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
I'm sure you will. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to break down round 3 of Division 1 and Division 2 of the English County Championship. And also, at the back end of the podcast, we've actually been lucky enough to sit down for an interview with Jakob Robertson, who is actually the chairman of Iceland Cricket. Now, you say Iceland, they don't play cricket. Well, they've got 2 teams. They've just introduced a 3rd team into their Iceland Premier League that they have now created, and they're about to play their first international game of cricket this July in England that you guys can go and watch. So listen to that. It's 25 minutes long. We talk all things Iceland cricket, and the thing that I really take from it is the amount of work that they're doing with refugees in the country to allow them to play cricket, which is absolutely phenomenal and definitely worth listening to. Now, Rich, I've got to pull you up on this. You're currently 0-6 in the question of the week.
Who cares?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you're 0-7 because you didn't put a guess in on the last one. So the last one, you can be out for a diamond duck without being run out. Okay, that means you can be stumped for a wide for the score of 0, showing 0 balls faced. This happened to Kieran Pollard back in the World T20 back in 2010, but that wasn't the first case. The first case was all the way back in 2009. Can you name the bowler, keeper and batsman? Rich, you declined to guess. And
no, I did. I gave an answer. I said, no, I can't name them.
Okay, so it wasn't you declined to guess. You were, no, I am not. I am not wasting my time on that.
No, I said, no, I can't.
No,
I can't name them. I gave you an answer.
So I'm going to give you 2 guesses to someone that's got this right.
Oh, jeez, not again.
Again, 4 for 4, Chris Tall. 4 for 4, Chris Tall. He's got it right. Henry Osindi was out stumped off for a wide by Island bowler Alex Kushak. The keeper was Niall O'Brien back in 2009. So that man has got it right. Much congratulations to him. 4 for 4 for the Google Meister. And 0 for 7 for Rich.
Well done, Google.
Well done, Google. So, the question of the day for you today is, who has scored 17,000 international runs at the start of 2017, but never ever ran a 3?
That's immense.
Which is a great record to have.
Wow. It's 17,000. Is that across all formats?
All formats.
Whoa. Never ran a 3. I'm trying to think who's the fatties.
Who's the fatties? You've either got to go who's fatties or who hits it a long way. They're the 2 categories of people that you would look at.
That's a damn good question. Well, I will. I might provide an answer, but maybe not yet. Maybe I'll provide an answer at the end of the podcast.
Okay, just stay off Google whilst we record the podcast.
I'm going to stay off Google. I'm going to be doing something for the next, X amount of minutes. So it's not like I'm just going to be sat here going, looking. So I'll have a think. I just like to ponder. Maybe.
No, that's cool. So what we've had a comment as well. So last time we went on a bit of a rant. We marked out the long run up and we bowled a few short stuff at 100-ball cricket. Well, Meme Stealer. He's commented on YouTube going, I lose faith in humanity if this 100-ball nonsense becomes a thing.
Good man.
Absolutely agree with him. It is a bit of it's a farce. It's an absolute farce, but I'm going to put it to bed. I'm going to live with it. And then when it comes back up again in about 2 months' time, I am going to be fired up and ready to roll. And we've had 2 discussion points come from the guys, and we're not going to look into them today, but we are going to look into them in a future episode. So Hype 23, thoughts on Kolpak players in county cricket, which is a great discussion for us to have, Rich, in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you look at, how many there are. Is there a need to have the overseas player when you've got that many Kolpak players? But,
that's it.
No, that's definitely one to have a good chat about. Mm-hmm.
And Vasu, IPL team of 2018 so far. Well, this podcast is all about the county championship, and the podcast that will be released 2 days' time will all be about the IPL in the 10 games that's been played since the last time we saw you. And in that, me and Rich, we're going to do our team of the tournament so far, and it's pretty much at the halfway point.
Ooh, homework, I like it.
Bit of homework, and also it'll be interesting to see in my team of the year if Mitchell Stoinis, my MVP for the IPL, has scored double-digit runs or taken a wicket.
Well, you got to get him in, mate. Surely you got to back your man.
I've got to
give
back
him a chance.
I've got to back my man. He's carried drinks better than anyone else in the IPL this season.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. Definitely, that's a good one to we'll have a look at.
That's a good one. So keep the comments coming, guys. Any discussion points you guys want to hear us go through, comment below. Let's kick straight into it. County Championship.
Right then, we start off with we didn't really think this game was going to get finished. So Worcestershire hosted Nottinghamshire. If everyone is aware, Worcestershire was underwater, very much like our own cricket club. It was underwater pre-season, but they've worked hard on the ground. They've got the levels down, and they put some cricket on. But they didn't play in this game for the first 2 days. So.
Wow.
We had a result. 135 overs of cricket was played in 2 days, and we got a result, and it was a Nottinghamshire win. Incredible performance from Notts. Worcestershire batted first. Nottinghamshire put them in. As the opposition, they decided they can. It's an uncontested toss, isn't it? As the away team now, you can decide what to do, which is quite interesting. So anyway, 110 all out. Joe Clark, that man that we've been talking so much about, that if you've listened to the podcast with the interview with Dave Bracegirdle and Martin Emerson, Dave Bracegirdle talks as highly as Joe Clark as I do. So it was good to see him. He got 42. Travis Head, the Aussie, overseas 33, but that was it. 110 all out. Massive credit in this one goes to Luke Fletcher. 5 for 27 off 9. The boy is back. The Bulwell Bomber is back. Jake Ball, 2 for 25, continued his really good run to start the season. And a very familiar name here, Stuart Broad. He was available and he played in this game, 3 for 28 off 8.3. So he's hit the ground running this season. So 110 all out. What can Notts do in the first innings? Well, they get 300 for 9 declared. And obviously the only reason declaration because time was running out. And that was being a declaration on the last day. So notable scores here. Mulaney at the top of the order, 28. Chris Nash at 3.26. Jake Libby struggled again, only 9 opening slots. So he's going to start feeling a little bit of pressure soon. Ross Taylor, another 15 out for him. Sammy Patel, 12. Ricky Vessels, 36. Tom Moores, 43. Stuart Broad, 38. Luke Fletcher, 27, not out. Really funny, actually. I don't know if you saw it, anyone saw it on Twitter, but Luke Fletcher and Stuart Broad had a brilliant coming together in the middle whilst they were batting together. The slow motion or images of it makes it look like a heavyweight boxing contest. So
I would not want to clash heads with Luke Fletcher.
Yeah, it almost looked like Brody had done something to annoy Fletcher because Fletcher kept hitting the ball straight down the ground and Brody had to take evasive action a couple of times. So yeah, 300 for 9. Leach, 3 for 73 and Josh Tong, 4 for 81 were the pick of the bowlers for Worcestershire. So 300 for 9. Obviously, an uphill task for Worcestershire, but they didn't have to bat long to save the game, but they couldn't bat long enough. And Notts had just enough time to bowl them all out for 149 to win by an innings and 41 runs inside just 2 days of cricket. So Fell 37, he was top scorer, bowled Gurney. Tom Fell, isn't it? Travis Head again, 29. Tong, 21 down the bottom, but that was about it. And this time, Jake Ball, that man, the leading wicket taker in county cricket, 5 for 59. Broad, 1 for 17 off 6. Fletch, another 2 wickets, 2 for 28 off 9. And Harry Gurney, 2 for 36 off 10. So a really, really solid win. Incredible, really, considering no cricket was allowed to be played inside the first 2 days. It's incredible that we've got a result in this one, and a cracking result for Nottinghamshire.
It is. What a result. You'd never hear of teams rolling out. You lose the first 2 days to rain. You just don't hear of teams picking up victories like this. And the early county championship they're actually seeing results are all around us. And the fact that teams are scoring so low, it is easy to look at a batsman and go, oh, he's struggling, he might need changing. Well, actually, it's the environment that they're playing in, and every single team is struggling. Notts were just incredible here. They bowled just over 60 overs in a game and picked up 20 wickets. And Jake Ball, that man's name should be right at the top of the English selectors list when they look for their 12 men for that first test match of the summer, because he is doing absolutely everything. If you can see it, on the ECB website, you can actually go on and you can watch some of the game, or through a Notts website, or Yorkshire or Worcester. They're all doing these live stream these days. Just watch how good he is bowling. He's bowling fast, he's swinging the ball, he's seaming it, and he's knocking people over. He's not just getting, people throwing wickets away. He's getting people out, and he's getting good batsmen out time and time again.
Yeah, exactly. 21 wickets so far at an average of 12.42.
Oh,
he's top leading wicket taker. And again, part of the conversation I had with Dave Bracegill is that, what happened to Jake Ball in the winter? Let the man bowl how he bowls, not how England want him to bowl. Just because he's 6 foot whatever, you've got to let the guy bowl what's to his strengths, not let's dig it in and try and be the enforcer. If we haven't got the enforcer, we haven't got the enforcer.
No, they tried to do that.
Let him bowl how he needs to bowl.
They tried to do that to Stuart Broad years ago, didn't they? They had Broad bowling the enforcer role, and then all of a sudden it was like, well, if he pitches it up, he gets a reverse swing and he knocks teams over. We don't have to have an enforcer. It's not a necessity as part of a team. Just because New Zealand have done it with Wagner, we tried to do it with Mark Wood in the winter. Yeah. I'd like Jake Ball to be given, first change. Broad, Anderson, Ball, Leach there as the spinner, Stokes as the other seamer. I'd like to see that as the opening lineup.
Yeah, I mean, just all I want to see really is just they just need to give the lad an opportunity. He was in the squad for the Ashes. He played the first Test match of the Ashes. Now, surely if he played the first Test match in the Ashes, they had some faith in him. They believed in him as a bowler. And then to not play the next 4 Test matches, then not even be on the plane to New Zealand was just farcical from England. Yeah. So we're really hoping that Jake Ball gets a shout. He's got to be on the, being spoken about with the new selector setup with Ed Smith, etc. And we'll see how he goes. But he's certainly doing everything asked of him at the start of the season. There's no sulking going on here, is there? He's coming out and knocking fools over. And,
he is, mate. He's on fire.
Yeah, so that's a Notts win. They're top of the table, which is good to see for us. Moving across to Somerset. Somerset against Yorkshire. This is the only other result. The rest of the positive result, should I say. So we have a win in this one. So Somerset against Yorkshire. Somerset batted first. 216 all out. Matt Renshaw, second century in 2 games for Somerset, the Australian. 112 for him. 39 for George Bartlett, batting at number 3, and then the only other notable was Craig Overton, 19 not out. So 216 all out. Wickets shared around. Ben Code, that man who has caught some headlines, especially for his performance against Notts last week, 10-wicket performance against Notts. So he got 3 for 67 off 16. Jack Brooks, 5 for 57 off 15. Good figures there. And Tim Bresnan in the wickets, 2 for 36 off 6.1. So in response, Yorkshire, not a good day. 96 all out. Harry Brook, he was batting at, I think, number 5 last week. He opened, he got 32, so he was a top scorer. Yeah. And Bresnan, 22, is all we can talk about in that innings. With the ball, Lewis Gregory, 3 for 30, 2 for 38 for Craig Overton. 3 for 12 off 9. Brilliant figures from Tim Grunwald.
Yeah.
So a cracking turnaround from Somerset there, and that was probably going to be the innings that clinched the game. So Somerset second innings, though, could they build on it? Yes, 200 all out. Pretty solid score. Tom Abel leading from the front, captain, 82 before he was bowled by Code. Davis as well, Steve Davis, the old wicket-keeper batsman, if you remember him, 33. And then a few teens as we go down the order. Wickets, again, Code, 4 for 61. Another great game for him. 17 wickets in 2 games so far for him. He's another one that's certainly going to be catching the headlines. Jack Brooks, 3 for 44. Bresnan, 1 for 43. And Waite, what's his name? Hang on a sec. Matthew Waite. Have we spoken about Matthew Waite?
I don't think we have spoken about Matthew Waite. It's his first game of the season.
No, I was going to call him Terry then, but that's something for a different generation. Anyway, so that's the state of the game where we were there. 416 on the board for Somerset, 96 for Yorkshire. Can they get in? Have they got enough? No, they haven't. 202 all out, so a much better effort, but they got beat. 118 run victory for Somerset. Yorkshire 68 for Jack Leading in the middle of the order, 34 for Adam Live at the top, and a couple of bits and bobs scores around as well. Gregory, another 2 wickets, 259. Overton, 3 for 43. Grunwald, 2 for 51 off 19. And Tom Abel as well, again, leading from the front, 2 for 15 off 6. So, cracking result for Somerset. Difficult one for Yorkshire. Yorkshire, that's played free. They've got one of everything. Won 1, lost 1, drawn 1.
Yeah.
And Somerset played 2, won 2.
Good old Somerset, good start. And again, it's another game that's finished within 3 days. The first day was rained off, play only started on the second day, and they were able to get a result. There's 2 things I want to highlight about Somerset's performance here, and it's not just the great bowling that they was able to do. One, Matty Renshaw, 112, head and shoulders above anything in the game, in a 216 run opening innings, 47 overs they were bowled out. They had a run rate of 4.57 and he scored 112. So incredible innings there. And the other innings that I really want to look at is Tom Abel, just how critical this was to the game. So take it, they've got a 100-run lead, give or take a few in that first innings. They get 200 all out in the second innings, but they were 4 for 24 when he came to the crease. And he absolutely stood up as captain and made sure they got themselves an over 300, 350 lead for Yorkshire to chase, 3-2-1 to chase. And without him doing that, they could have easily just rolled over and died, and Yorkshire could have been chasing 200, and it could have been a really, really close contest. But he just, a bit about him, he's a decent young lad, scoring runs, not had the best start to the season, but this really solidifies a captain's innings, able to take his team through and win the game and put his bowlers in the position to put the pressure on the Yorkshire team.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's really, really solid performance from him, wasn't it? Just something I've noticed as well, just want to talk about the other side of it, is with Renshaw. First game of the season, 101 not out in the first innings, 7 in the second innings. Second game, 112 in the first innings, 8 in the second innings. Boy, don't like his second innings, does he?
No, he's already been paid. He's a first inning merchant, mate. Come in, score runs while it's a flat wicket, April in England, and then his job's done. He'll average 50.
Exactly. So we have 2 more games played in Division 1, both ended in draws. Let's start off Lancashire and Surrey at Old Trafford. So Lancashire first innings, they were 439 for 9 declared, and it really does look like they've actually got the batting line up the wrong way round.
It does.
Top of the order, Keaton Jennings 15, Hasib Amin 4, Alex Davis 4, and then we start getting some runs. So Liam Livingston, England hopeful, 48, Shiv Chandapal hung around, got some runs at the right time, 65. What have we got here? Stephen Croft 62, Jordan Clark 78, Joe Menny, the Aussie, 68 not out. He's had a cracking start to the year for Lancashire as well, and also at number 10, Tom Bailey 66. Big hat tip here to a young fellow that we spoke about in the county championship preview, Amar Verdi. He honestly, he's just dead spit whatever for Monty Panazar. 4 for 80 for the young fella. I think he's only 18. He's certainly someone to keep an eye out for. Sam Curran 2 for 106, and some bloke called Dernbach 3 for 93.
Your best mate.
Yeah, exactly. Verdi as well got the wicket of Chandapal. What a moment!
Yeah, that's a big wicket.
Big wicket, yeah. So cracking effort for them. So that's where we got to there. Surrey, in response, could only muster 2-3-5 all out. Burns, 28 at the top of the order. Mark Stoneman not starting the season as he wanted to, a 4-ball duck for him. Scott Borthwick, 79 at number 3, before being dismissed by his ex-Durham teammate, Graham Onions. Dean Elgar, 34, Ben Folkes, 34, and not much else after that. Graham Onions, 4 for 49 off 19. The boy's still got it.
He is.
Tom Bailey, also 4 for 54 with a new ball. So 8 wickets with the 2 new ball bowlers. Liam Livingstone, underrated part of his game, 1 for 36 off 18. He was a first choice change of bowlers, so he's not just a batter as Livingstone. So that could be something that could attract England in that middle order. And also 1 wicket for Jordan Clark for Lancashire. So second innings then, Surrey following on, 199 for 6. Obviously not enough to force any sort of positive result in this game. Match drawn. Burns, 33 at the top of the order. Stoneman spent a bit of time at the crease, 29 off 90. Borthwick, 8-ball duck, so he couldn't follow up. 57 for Folkes. And Ollie Pope getting himself 41. Wickets, 4 for 13 off 19. Yeah, you heard that right. 4 for 13 off 19 overs. Tom Bailey. That's an incredible spell. And a wicket apiece for Livingstone and Clark. So, a solid first innings performance from Lancashire puts them in, but they are struggling a little bit. In 3 games they've played, they've lost 2 and drawn 1, so at least they got a relatively positive result for them this time. Surrey played 2, won 1, drawn 1, so not the easiest start of the season for either county, but what can you say, Rob?
Yeah, this is kind of more what you expect when you're talking 2-3-day games of cricket, and I really hope they never swindle it down even more to a 3-day county championship, because it's really hard to force results. It's not enough for guys to bat for days and to really become a genuine test match cricketer. And one of the takeaways I'm getting from this Lancashire team is Jennings and Hamid just aren't quite clicking at the top of the order to what everyone would expect. Because we sat down in the preview show and said, Jennings, Hamid, Livingstone, Chanderpaul, that's the top 6. Wow, that's really good. And it's not quite clicking. And don't get me wrong, there's heaps of time left in the English summer. There's about 2 weeks left of sunshine. I'm sure they will go and get some runs during that time. And you take Stoneman as well. Stoneman back into first-class cricket, gone bowled by Onions for none. That guy is still playing for his place in the England team and needs to step up and score some runs.
Absolutely. Another man playing for his place as well is James Vince of Hampshire. So Hampshire, they hosted Essex. Again, match drawn, as I said. Tough one on this one. 351 for 7 declared for Hampshire in the first innings. Vince at number 3, 47 off 103 balls, caught behind off Simon Harmer.
Yeah.
Nicking off. So you can see why I've just kind of continued your conversation by mentioning Vince there.
Yeah, it's good segue. Good segue.
Yeah, another flatters to deceive there, doesn't he, or whatever that saying is. So anyway, Hampshire, young fella, Joe Weatherly at the top of the order, 29. Adams, 87. Jimmy Adams, 87. 47 for Vince. Hashin Amla, 52. 34 not out for Liam Dawson, and a 43 for Kyle Abbott. So, bit of a strange innings, that one, a bit disjointed, a lot of starts. Adams obviously 87 with the bigger score, and nice to see Hashin Amla make some runs there as well. 7 wickets down. Peter Siddle, first change, 3 for 62 off 29 in his beanie.
Yeah.
Boy did good. Sam Cook, not the old soul singer, he got 2 for 87. And 1 for 86 for Jamie Porter, and Simon Harmer 159. A lot of people getting a bowl in this game. But obviously a bit of a strange one. 351 for 7 declared. Obviously trying to force the game along a little bit, but it didn't really work because of the weather. Essex in their 1 innings response, 300 for 6. The big news, 84 for Alistair Cook. 84 off 138 balls, 11 boundaries before he was dismissed by Wood. Chris Wood. So, who else did what? Ravi Bapara, name blast from the past, 84 not out for him. Ryan Tenderscarder, 24. 46 for the abrasive James Foster. And Simon Harmer, 21 not out. 2 for 63 for Brad Wheel, 151 for Liam Dawson, and a wicket apiece for Kyle Abbott, Fidel Edwards, and the man Chris Wood. So, not much to talk about really in this game, other than it's great to see Alistair Cook get some runs.
Yeah, definitely. Strange game. Hampshire started batting on day 1, and their first innings finished at the end of day 3 when they actually declared, because it was such a rain-interrupted game. 3-5-1, decent score, good performance by the middle order. James Vince again nicking off. That is a huge talking point. He's not progressed from where he was in the winter. He's not progressed from where he was last summer at the moment. When the pitches dry out, hopefully he'll get the ability to go on a bit further, but the real test for him is going to come when it goes to that first test match of the summer and he has to step up. If he fails those first 2 test matches nicking off, there is going to be crows all around him and people will want him gone. Great to see Alistair Cook back in a bit of form, getting some runs on a wet English wicket. And Ravi Bopara, he's still only 32 years old. One of the things with Ravi Bopara, he came into that England team and scored, I think it was 3 centuries in 3 test matches, didn't he, against the West Indies?
Yeah, a very ordinary West Indies side at that point as well.
Exactly. What is incredible to look at his stats is let's say he batted 20 innings, 575 runs, of which 3 came from centuries, and he made no other 50s. So all of his runs came in those 3 innings, and he was able to shift out a 13 Test match career with 1 wicket for 290 to his name. They're incredible stats.
Make the most of it, mate.
Yeah, definitely. But another rain-ruined game. It's really hard to know what to take from some of these games when there's so much rain around and people are in, people are out. We've played in rain-affected games. They're really hard. Stats aren't quite what they are when you're looking at rain-affected games, but what you want to see is you want to see guys making 50s. Batsmen who can make 50s in real rough conditions, much credit to them, especially in these low contests. That's what really makes a difference. The guys like Matty Renshaw that can go on and score hundreds, they're the guys that you're going, yeah, they've really probably got that next level about them.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's going to be tough when, Pakistan are over here. It's worth noting now. They've arrived in the country. They're playing a warm-up game. It won't be long before there is a bit of international cricket on the horizon again. And it should be noted, for people that aren't in England, this is an extraordinary start to the season. I know we all joke about the English weather, but this is quite a remarkable, extraordinary start to the season with regard to how bad the weather has been. We've had the odd day of nice weather, 20 odd degrees, and then it's going back to 10, 11, whatever it is, and lots of rain. And it's the amount of rain we've had as well. So very, very difficult to get any momentum going this season so far. The batters, like you said, the ones that are making the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, they're the guys. We've got to look at those scores as being worth a little bit more than what they are. But there is obviously a little bit of class in people like Renshaw going on, isn't there? So There's the ball, people with the ball, and using that name, Jake Ball, they're the ones that are creating the headlines at the minute and making the conversations very difficult for the selectors. The batters, nobody yet has really, really jumped up and said, I demand to be picked ahead of the guys that are already in there. So it's looking likely that the lads that have the shirts already are going to have another go against Pakistan. But like you said, Rob, if they don't make runs on that, I don't see how they can. People can continue, and especially when the sun starts shining and people start scoring some big runs, it's going to be pretty easy decisions after that. So it's looking more and more likely that the Vinces and Stomans of this world will get more opportunities for England, but they've got to grab it when the time comes.
They sure do, mate. Let's crack into a bit of Division 2, mate. What's going on there? Do we have more rain? Was it raining all over England?
We have a heck of a lot of rain. Right, Sussex Gloucester. Rattleford, match drawn. 145 all out first innings for Sussex. 63 at the top of the order for Philip Salt. Great name. 5 for 21 for Ryan Higgins is the pick of the bowlers. 2 for 29 for Miles and 2 for 40 for Dan Worrell, the Australian. Not much to talk about there. Gloucestershire, 183 all out, so a little bit better, but still not great. Benny Howe, 37 at the top of the order. Gareth Roderick, 23. Bits and bobs. Noma Barnett, 31 down the order, and with the ball, 5 for 48 for David Weiser. And Mr. Oliver Robinson, 4 for 67 with the new ball. So bits and pieces. So Sussex second innings, 204 all out. Again, not really any scores here. Harry Finch. I keep calling him Aaron. I do apologise. 48 for Harry Finch. For Dan Worrell got the all-important wicket. And Worrell also got Van Zyl at number 3, the 2 top scorers. 44 for Van Zyl, 48 for Finch. Worrell dismissed them both. And he also mops up the bottom of the order with Briggs going for 1. And Ishant Sharma, on the back of his first ever first-class 50, was dismissed for 6 as well. So 4 for 45 for Worrell, 3 for 65 for Higgins, and 2 for 48 for Taylor. Gloucestershire second innings, 108 for 6, match drawn. Top score, Benny Howe, 45. Higgins, 18, not out. 3 for 16 for Van Zyl, 2 for 25 for Robinson, and a wicket for Briggs. So tough result there. over to you, Rob.
Yeah, a bit of a damp squid this. The close of play on day one, 86 for none for Sussex. So they'll probably kick themselves a little bit. They went from 86 for none at the close of day one to 145 all out very, very quickly after. In fact, the close of day two, Sussex were batting again. So there was 20 wickets on day two. The whole of the Sussex first innings got rolled over, and Gloucestershire got rolled over in the same day. But there was no play on day four, so they're chasing 160, and the 6 down, and the game is in the balance, and the English weather strikes again. The guys I'll just pick out of this game is Van Ziel's had a very, very good start to the season for his team. He's bowling well, and he's picking up some runs. He got 44 here. He got a few wickets in the second innings as well. He had 3 for 16 off 11. He started very, very strong for his team. But it's just a very average game of cricket, and not based on what the cricketers are able to do, just on what the weather is doing to the game as a whole. Both teams will take 10, 11 points each, maybe. Looking at this, 8 and 8 points. It's probably a fair assumption. Both teams were pretty much in the middle. I feel like I'm sitting on the fence, but when the games are ruined so much by rain, it's really hard to say which is the better side.
Yeah, I mean, Gloucestershire played 3, won 1, lost 1, drawn 1. Sussex drawn 3.
Yeah.
So no one's getting going yet in those ones, are they? And not much else to really add on that. So moving on, Northamptonshire Durham. Martin Emerson, who we recorded it, he was on his way down to Northamptonshire. Well, poor old mine, he did not see one ball bowled in this game. Match abandoned without a ball being bowled. Back up to the North East Durham go. Match drawn, or match abandoned, isn't it? So
there's nothing I can add.
Away you go. Moving on, Middlesex Glamorgan. We didn't get much cricket in this one. 42.1 overs in the first innings of the game, which saw Middlesex dismissed for 194. 95 for Steve Eskenazi, batting at number 3. Number 3? Yeah, number 3. And 38 for John Simpson, the wicketkeeper batsman. That was pretty much it. 5 for 49 for the Aussie Michael Hogan, the captain as well. And 4 for 63 for Tim van der Gupten with the new ball. So that's all we've got to talk about. And in the second innings, we only got another 15.5 overs, and that was all we had, all the cricket we had in this game. The only double figure score was Nick Selman at the top of the order with 21. Tim Murto was hitting his straps in this one. 4 for 12 off 8 overs at the top of the order. All nice. 4 wickets for Murto. So he's going to be telling everyone he was on for a 10 for.
He was.
So that was it. Match drawn. Middlesex Glamorgan. Not much you can add.
Nah, days 2 and day 4's completely washed out. Day 1, they ended after 16 overs. Just a really, really, again, average spectator game, and game for the players. It's frustrating for them being on the pitch, not being able to get out there. Stevie Nziki, absolutely superb, smashing 94 in those conditions. And it was smashed because it was 91 balls, 16 boundaries. He just went about his business like there was nothing wrong with the world. But again, there's just not a lot you can add. Murto was bowling well, yeah, but what difference does it make? The game's been and gone. Everyone knows coming at the end of day 3, there's nothing to play for. In fact, day 4 was washed out. 8 points to Glamorgan, 6 to Middlesex. And Middlesex will probably find themselves feeling a bit hard done to that the 2 points down, and they had them 38 for 4 at the end, halfway through innings 1.
Yeah, life's not fair, Rob.
It's not fair. I should learn.
No. Right, Leicestershire, Derbyshire, last game. Leicestershire have got something about them this year. It was a match drawn, but we got 2 pretty good innings in here though. 381 all out for Leicestershire. Mike Carberry 45. Paul Horton 66 at the top of the order with him. Colin Ackerman 65 at number 3. 54 for Ned Eckersley, the wicketkeeper batsman, and I keep wanting to call him Colin Dexter. That's the creator of a TV program. 47 for Neil Dexter, and also 47 for promising player, decent player Ben Rain down the order there as well. 3 wickets for 64 off 16 for Lewis Rees. That's just not doesn't usually get himself in the wickets like that. And 2 for 39 for Will Davis. Decent effort from Leicestershire there, and in response, Derbyshire 251 for 8 in their only innings. They did declare, but no more cricket was played after that point. So Gary Wilson, wicketkeeper, was 64, not out, top scorer. Few runs, Sam Christie 38, and Matt Christie 38, and Villian, I love that name, 43. Hardisvillion, 43 down the bottom of the order, and also 42 for Hughes, Alex Hughes. So 251 for 8. Again, Leicestershire, they're promising this year. It's good to see, but again, match drawn, not much we can add to that one. Leicestershire are 8th. They've played 2, drawn 2. Derbyshire, though, it's got to be noted, they're second in the table at the minute. Only 1 point off top placed at Warwickshire after playing 2 games, won 1, drawn 1. So promising, really, for both counties.
Yeah, difficult game. 11 points Leicestershire, 10 Derbyshire. First 2 games completely washed out. And then both teams kind of nullified each other, making half-decent scores. It's just very disappointing. And cricket comes down to moments, right? It's moments. It's Stuart Broad taking 8 for Trent Bridge, 8 for 15. It's a moment in time where he is absolutely on the top of his game. It's Jake Ball taking 5 for, blowing away the opposition and making sure Nottinghamshire pick up 20 points. It's almost you're looking for that once a season moment off one of your players when it's reduced time like this to create something. And a lot of the games you just see, they just peter out because people just can't turn up and do that. It's Jake Ball's had it back-to-back weeks, but Luke Fletcher got his best bowling figures in that first innings, taking 5 for 27. Best bowling figures of his career to be able to enable a Nottinghamshire win in 2 or 3 days. And you're asking a lot of guys to go out there and blow away an opposition. So it's another damp squid performance. But Leicestershire and Derbyshire both look like pretty decent sides. Both performing, yeah, but it's hard to tell when you look at the table because it's when the wickets flatten out, people start scoring 400 or 500. That's where you learn the real, the depth and quality and the grit of the team. At the moment, you kind of hang on and you might get lucky and you might pick up a 20-pointer.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the tables, starting with Division 2, there's not much in it. I mean, Warwickshire are top on 32, and then in 8th place is Leicester on 21. So there's very little gap in between, isn't there? So, the table doesn't tell us too much yet at the minute, especially with the amount of drawn games we're having as well. But like I say, Warwickshire are top of the table, Derbyshire in 2nd place, Glamorgan 3rd, and then we have Gloucestershire, Middlesex, Sussex all on 29 points, Kent in 7th on 22, Leicestershire 21, Northamptonshire played 3, lost 2, drawn 1, 10 points, and Durham propping up the table, lost 1 and drawn 1 on 8. Tough start for those guys. Division 1, we'll go from the top. Nottinghamshire played 3, won 2, lost 1, 45 points. Brilliant victory inside 2 days. Somerset won both their games, as we said, 40 points in 2nd. Hampshire on 35 points in 3rd place, 1 of each for them. Essex, 4th place, 34 points, won 1, drawn 2, so still unbeaten. And Yorkshire, they again, 1 of everything for them, 29 points. Surrey played 2, won 1, drawn 1, unbeaten, 28. Lancashire, 2nd from bottom, played 3, lost 2, drawn 1, without a win, 18. And Worcestershire, finding it very, very tough in that step up into Division 1. Lost all 3 of their encounters so far this season. Only 1 batting point as well for them so far this year. Although the highest batting point is 6 for Hampshire, so it's not too dramatic yet. 10 points for them, so really tough start. And that's all the cricket we have for the county championship this week. Like I say, Pakistan are in the country. We are starting to look forward. Hopefully the sun's starting to come out, Rob, and we'll have a bit more cricket to talk about next week.
We will. So Pakistan are actually playing their first warm-up game at the moment against Essex. I don't know if you've seen it, Rich, but Pakistan...
They had played.
They were rolled out for 168 in the first innings. Again, very little cricket being played. But Inzamam ul Haq's was the one that stepped up and managed to get himself a decent 61.
Yeah, batting at number 3 as well, wasn't he? So was it Essex who they played, or was it somebody else?
Kent,
yeah. I was going to say Essex have just been playing, hasn't they? So,
Yep. Yeah, so it's interesting to see how they get on. And it's always hard for touring teams to come to England and play when it's, 1, conditions like this, and 2, the ball swings and seams around. You find a lot of them nicking off or getting bowled. It's alien conditions. It's like putting a lot of the English guys on the subcontinent getting bowled out by the Pakistani spinners for 150 every innings. It's just part of playing the international game. You go places where you don't like facing bowlers.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be tough. So, but it gives us hope that there is actually positive cricket ahead. When we hear that tourists are in town, that they are starting to get used to the conditions, and the sooner we get some sunshine, the better for everybody. Though.
Yeah, it definitely is. And we've got the Pakistan-Ireland Test match right around the corner. So, Rich, I think that covers everything for the county championship that we're going to run through. So, guys, if you listen to it so far, IPL podcast will be dropping in the next couple of days. hang on to this podcast and listen to the Iceland conversation.
Yes.
That'll be dropping straight after this. It's worth listening to.
Yeah, and we've been looking into this, or Rob especially, you've been looking into this sort of the lower rungs of the ladders, haven't you, at cricket? And there's some amazing stories. There's some amazing countries playing cricket. So please have a listen to this. This is proper cricket. You know, we've all played club cricket, all the rest of it. This is basically like club cricket, but internationally, or wanting to be international. This is amazing. This is what cricket's all about for me. Amazing conversation with Jakob. Really, really please give it a listen. It's really important as well. They've got, they're pushing something at the minute, Rob, aren't they? Just Giving, is it Just Giving? Just Giving
cause. They're trying to raise money to get themselves over to play their first international game in July.
Yeah, be involved, be a supporter of Icelandic cricket. It's amazing.
Cricket.
Yeah, I think we need to see if we can work an invite. Well, next time you're over this part of the hemisphere, Rob, we need to get an invite to go and have a game of cricket in Iceland.
We do. In fact, one of the interesting things he talks about is stag doos. They get a lot of stag doos going over to Iceland and playing cricket over there. It's quite something. And one of the things that we're going to touch on in a future podcast is we want to learn more about the global game of cricket. It's one of the things we really want to achieve out of the podcast. And it's tracking what is going on in the world. So, for instance, this week, World Cup qualification for the following World Cup has already started. Not the one in England, the one in the future. And it's all down to the World Cricket Leagues and how they work. And teams like Myanmar and Ukraine are all started, and Uganda have all started playing cricket there. But also the T20 World Cup in 2020, there's actually 62 teams in regional groups that you wouldn't even understand even play cricket. Gambia, Argentina, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, Vanuatu, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Mozambique, all these teams playing cricket right now to try and work their way through to the final qualification stage to play in the World T20 competition in front of you guys. So I find it absolutely incredible when you break it down and you look at the depth of cricket around the world. Yes, they're small nations, but the ambition's there and they've got these great opportunities to try and make it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Rob did this interview. I couldn't make this one. We seem to be alternating interviews, don't we, at the moment? But you listen to this one. Make sure you stay on listening to it. I think let's crack on with that.
As we just said, this is me and Jakob sitting down for a chat about Iceland cricket. Let's kick straight into it. Hey guys, Rob from the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast here, and I'm very, very fortunate to be sat down talking to the very, very soon and newest international cricket nation in the world, the chairman, Jakob Robertson. How are you, my friend?
I am good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Stuff. I think the first thing we need to do is we've got to look at the temperature. Iceland is a cold, cold climate. And I'm just going to say we're working our way towards winter here in New Zealand, and it's 16 degrees at 10 o'clock at night. What's the temperature out in Iceland?
Right now it's 5 degrees.
Wow.
Plus.
You've got to throw the plus in there.
Yeah, we had it's coming into summer now. We actually had the first of summer, and it's sort of still looks like winter, but it's sort of spring-ish. But we had our first outdoor training, and that was quite nice.
Wow. So how long out of the 12-month calendar year you're in a position where you've got to train indoors in school gyms, etc. like that? How often are you indoors as opposed to training outdoors?
So the last couple of years we've been training from September or October indoor until April, May.
Okay, that's not too bad, actually. That's almost like the English winters being indoors.
Yeah, so we'll train because we've been going on this tour to this Prague, the Pepsi Cup in Prague.
Yeah,
yearly, and that's in September. So normally we'll take a little break when we get back from that, and then start up in October indoors, and then depending on the weather, we've normally started training sort of around this time. So late April, beginning of May was sort of the time where it really it's warm enough to go outside and you get those warm days.
Excellent. And talk to me about the facilities that are on hand in Iceland. So you guys, you've not got an international team as of yet. We'll get to that very shortly and the excitement that's coming with that. But there must be limited resources and limited fields. And what does the cricket structure look like in Iceland for you guys?
Yeah, so the indoor facilities, which we've been training indoors, the first years were quite nice in terms of we were training on this artificial 3G football.
Beautiful.
Field. Sort of, it was only a half field. It was quite small, so it wasn't the size of an actual football field, but it was in this sort of it was separated with a big curtain, so we could sort of have little trainings and almost like little net sessions,
Yes.
And we could use a leather ball, and it bounced quite a lot because these 3G pitches are quite bouncy. But at least it allowed us to sort of play with a leather ball and get some bounce, and it really helped us a lot just to get people together. And it wasn't too expensive either, sort of when we booked it for many months at a time.
Yep.
And we had little mini games in there as well, and
brilliant.
That worked. That really helped us. That was basically that facility was the first, I think, one of the first attempts at actually having training sessions for cricket in Iceland. I think before that it was always just sort of outdoor, far more casual.
Yeah. So when it rolls into the summer and you go outdoors and you train and you do nets, how does that work? Are there actual nets built in the country that you can go and you can have a full length run up and have a bowl on?
No. So outdoors we play on also a football field, a 3G or a 4G pitch, and it's basically the size of a football field, and it's very bouncy.
Yeah. It'd be good for the fast bowlers.
Yeah. It's sort of the leather ball really grips.
Yeah.
When it lands, and it sort of slows it down a little bit, and the bounce is quite off-putting as well for a lot of people, because when you're used to having the ball coming onto the bat, it can be quite take your timing off a little bit.
Yeah.
But so that's a larger area, and it's nice and spacey, and there's no windows or houses really close by that we can destroy or we have to worry about, because we bat always facing just one way, so we just bowl from one end.
Yeah. Because
behind us it's very short, and there's sort of residential area, but the way the bat is facing, there's just a big stadium basically. So sometimes the ball will go on the roof, and then we'll have to climb up and retrieve the ball. But other than that, it's quite nice. And it works well.
That's incredible. It's an incredible setup. So, have you reached the point where you've broken into different teams within the country? So there's more than one team, and you're able to have competitive matches.
Yeah. That's what we achieved last year. We managed to. We decided that we needed more sort of competition within the country, so we made another team. The first team was called the Kopelvoord Puffins. That is Kopelvoord is the place, the area, and then we made a new team called the Reykjavik Vikings, and we basically have little domestic competitions with these two teams, and we had like a sort of, we drew names out of hats.
Yep.
And basically split the players up. We sort of paired them based on abilities.
Yeah.
And then tried to get them as equal as we could. Then we would draw them out of hats and make teams that way.
That's brilliant. And you was mentioning before that you guys are in a grand position where you've actually had stag doos and UK-based cricket teams come across to Iceland to come and tour and play a match against you guys as well.
Yeah. We've had quite a lot of teams come over. A lot of them are UK-based. Stag guys and all sorts of clubs come over and play us, and it's always been great fun. Normally we play 2 days of cricket, so the first day often that team, the touring team, will be quite tired, and sort of maybe haven't slept enough or something like that, and but they still really enjoy it, and we'll play maybe a 40 over match or a T20 or two T20s and then the day after, we'll play another game, and it's normally it's early in the mornings, because that's when we have the place booked.
Yep.
Because we don't get the prime times there, unfortunately. But so often that team will be quite hungover the day after, and often some of our guys as well. But all quite tired, but normally those tours have just ended really, really well and great fun.
Yeah, definitely. What a great opportunity for the English, one, to come to a beautiful country such as yours, and also get the chance to play cricket against you guys, and an opportunity for you guys to play competitive cricket against a touring team and interact and kind of grow that social base that you've got. If we look at Cricket Iceland and we go, the structure of the board that you've got, so yourself is set up as chairman. Who else do you have around you, and what sort of roles and responsibilities do you have? Do you have to put in a lot of work as chairman to a country that cricket isn't probably the top 10 sport in the country? There's a lot of other things that the guys would rather do with the time. Do you really put a drive in to try and grow the game in Iceland?
So I think the main things I've been trying to focus on, there's a lot of sort of bureaucratical of paperwork that has to be done, regarding having an official registered club in Iceland. So we had to translate the laws of the game, and we basically had to start the club up again when we started it up. And we have to hand in yearly tax returns, which that wasn't really a big deal, but all that sort of just learning what is required in the Icelandic Sports Association for us to grow. Trying to find venues for indoor, because the place we were training, we couldn't train there anymore, so we had to look into other venues to play indoor. Just trying to manage the side and have an overview of where things are going, for the tour. Know what tours are coming up. How to grow our player base, because we needed more players at one time. That there weren't very many people showing up, so we focused on that a lot. And one thing that was quite great, we managed to tap into the refugee society here.
Oh, really? Brilliant!
And get them involved, because there are quite a few refugees over here in Iceland, and they don't have the capacity to pay membership fees or anything like that. But we managed to get in touch with the municipalities, and they have this program which they actually subsidize. So subsidize sports and stuff, like monthly, like gym memberships and stuff. So that was, all that sort of stuff.
That's really awesome. That's a really nice thing to be able to actually do and change people's lives who have, they've gone through probably the roughest time that anyone could ever imagine, being a refugee and forced out your country for whatever reason. And you guys can offer them some assistance and a bit of hope and a bit of life and a nice game of cricket, because a lot of people would probably come from countries that would play some sort of cricket. So that's really, really good to hear that you guys are involved and you're doing a really great thing for your country. What other sports do you find yourself really up against in Iceland? Because Iceland, the football team, has obviously come to a little bit of fame over the last couple of years, beating England back in 2016, and you've got Monson playing in the Premier League on the right for Burnley. My old man's a Burnley fan, so I'm a big fan of him. But how hard is it to make an indent into already glorified sports in Iceland, such as, say, CrossFit or football?
So it's always funny talking about, obviously the fields, for example, here in Iceland. They are all the fields that do exist, at least here in Reykjavik and the capital area. They're quite heavily used, and normally by football. And especially grass fields, which are maintained. There's basically no chance for us to actually. It's very hard for us to use those fields, because one, they don't want us scuffing up the grass. We like just getting a pitch on the field. That's something that's proving to be quite challenging. Football is obviously the number one sport here. Then there's other sports as well. I mean, in terms of grant-wise, being able to apply for grants through the municipalities and sports associations, it depends on how many members you have.
Okay.
And they delegate the grants through that. So all the sports that have more members, they're going to be the ones getting the grants.
Okay, so it makes it hard with a smaller base, really, to try and make those inroads. So you guys are you're doing absolutely great work within the country, it's got to be said, and you've gathered a bit of a social media following, which is incredible. I've only seen it happen once before for a small sports club, which was FK Vidar in Norway, with their 30-year plan to the Champions League, which Soccer AM got behind. And here at the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast, we're jumping on the bandwagon completely, because we've seen what you guys are doing in Iceland and really, really appreciate what you're doing. You're doing a superb thing for the game of cricket, and a superb thing in Iceland, as you say, working with refugees. And you've got this incredible support on social media. People are following you, people are retweeting, and people are supporting in a monetization way. Talk to me about what's coming up over the next few months for you guys. You've got some big international games, your first international games coming up, and how can people get involved with what your country is doing?
Okay. So I just want to mention first the whole reason, really, this is boomed like it has. It's mainly due to, like you mentioned, the board. So I'm the chairman. Then we have Darren, who's our coach, and he's based in Darren Talbot, that's based in the UK, and he's been helping us a lot, and he's very great. And then we have Abhishek, who is he lives here in Iceland, and he's kind of one of the guys that started the cricket up with us, or one of the guys that really pushed to get us training and get us indoors. And then we have Kit Harris, and he's the sponsorship manager. He's the guy that started the website for us, and the tour manager, and he's the one really that's been pushing this the whole social media aspect of it. I didn't really even realize what was going on first, because I'm not on Twitter, I'm not on Instagram, and and it was quite amazing. But so Darren and Kit, they've been organising this tour for us in the UK. We went there last year previously and played against Sarah. I dropped out of the name, sorry, but okay. So we'll be playing in the UK, and we've got a great lineup now. So we'll be playing against Switzerland, the national team.
Brilliant.
Which Darren managed to organise through his contacts. And then we'll also be playing against the Authors Cricket Club.
Yeah.
Which they actually came and visited us here in Iceland last year, and they'll be playing against us there at the Bank.
Yep.
And so I think we beat them, or maybe it was a tie, I can't remember. But I think they're going to be looking
take the win. Take the win, mate.
And they'll be looking for some revenge, and then we'll also be playing against the Marylebone Cricket Club as well.
Excellent.
At Hampton Hill. But yeah, definitely the biggest game is going to be against Switzerland, which is we'll be playing an ODI T20.
Yep.
As well, and yeah, I think that's definitely going to be the biggest game that Iceland has played.
Yes, what an incredible tour, and there's the opportunity for people in England. So we've got a lot of our base, probably 50% of our base and listeners come from the UK. So guys, in the description on the podcast, I'll put the dates and I'll put the times of the games. So if you guys want to go down and go and see Iceland's first ever game, you know where to be and you know when it's going to be. So one of the great stories behind this tour that you've got coming on is your crowdfunding. And incredibly, I'm on your page at the moment. So you were trying to look to raise £3,000, I was about to say dollars, to support cricket in Iceland. And so far, 30 people have put you 39% of the way there, donating over £1,000, almost £1,200, which is absolutely incredible. You must look at that and be very proud of the effort of the team of the Iceland guys behind you to get to this point where people are noticing Iceland cricket. There's articles on the BBC website and people are willing to give up and put money to you guys to enable you to live your dream.
Yeah, I'm very, very, like you say, I'm very proud. I'm very grateful, not only to Kit and everybody that's been on the board and Darren, all the efforts they put, all the organisation they put in, but also the players that have been sticking with us the last couple of years. We have a good core of players that show up to all the trainings. They've, it's normally the same guys that go on tour.
Yeah,
and we have quite a few very good players that have played a lot of cricket and have showed really good results and have really helped Iceland to show that we are actually a good team and beat some other good teams and going on these tours, for example, in the Prague Pepsi Cup, playing against other good teams, and just having that sort of camaraderie of other players that sort of are really committed. That makes all the difference.
No, that's really brilliant to hear. I've just got a couple more questions for you. So, what's the end goal for Iceland Cricket? Where do you want to be and where do you want to go? Because you're at the point where you've got a couple of teams in your home country. You're about to play your first national game, which you would have looked 2 or 3 years ago and gone, that's a stretch goal for us. Well, you've achieved stretch goal number 1 for you guys. Where do you want to end up? Do you look at associate nations and you go, that's where we see Iceland Cricket in the future?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think Kit was mentioning ICC affiliate associated members, nations, and we were sort of talking about how far off it seems that we could join that. But then he talked about some of the countries which are actually a part of this, and a lot of the countries have even fewer people in the country than Iceland. I mean, Iceland's a nation of 330,000, which is quite small. But then you have other nations. I think the smallest one was something they had, like, I think Malta was part of it. No, they have more players. But there were some countries that just, I was very surprised, basically, by the countries that do exist there. So I think it's definitely possible. Yeah,
definitely. I'm looking at the list at the moment, and I think there's 93 members of the associate nations, and some of the countries, one, I've never really heard of them, but you look at it and there's the Falkland Islands are an associate, Guernsey, Jersey, these small, Isle of Man, that's an associate nation. And it would be absolutely superb if you guys were able to get yourself on that list. And I hope the guys that listen to this podcast will support you all the way. So obviously one of the things is you have been sponsored by people so far. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out whilst you're on the air?
I just want to mention Kit Harris's company, Next Stop Iceland, that has been getting teams over to Iceland here and provides all these tours. It's really great. Anybody that wants to come visit Iceland or has any inclination and enjoys cricket, then they should check that out. Yeah, Darren's company, the T20 community cricket. I also just want to say with Iceland, I mean, we have one thing which I think we really need to do is try and get the locals involved more, because right now we don't really have that many Icelandic members. Right now we have half a member, that being me. But I think that's something, if we're going to develop the cricket here, for the future, we need a strong infrastructure so we can basically introduce the game as it should be played to a country that basically knows nothing about the game. Because explaining the cricket to Iceland is very, very strange, especially if you try to explain it in Icelandic. Man, it's difficult.
Is there the opportunity for you guys to get into the schools out there? That's one thing that a lot of the guys in the UK do. The clubs really try to emphasise getting into the schools, get them young, and then you almost blood them to know what cricket is early.
Yeah, that is the key, right? I think that is definitely the key. We've been speaking about it on the board. We just want to organise it and do it the right way. So we're sort of, I think we're biding our time a bit until we have a solid plan about how we want to go about it.
Yeah.
And then when we do it, we want to really we want to make a difference, like do it properly and try and involve as many schools as possible and have a really fixed plan about that. But I think that is key, exactly like you say, getting them young and
yeah, definitely
making it sort of intuitive.
Yeah, it definitely is. Jakob, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the line, and we'd absolutely love to have you back on once you've finished with your tour of England and playing your first international games. Now, in the meantime, guys, if you do want to help out, you do want to support Iceland Cricket, the links will be in the description below. Go to the justgiving.com crowdfunding page for Iceland, as well as following them on Twitter as Iceland Cricket and Iceland Cricket on Facebook. Jakob, it's been an absolute pleasure, my friend. I wish you all the best of luck of your tour of the UK, and as well as continue to grow the game in Iceland.
Thanks, Rob. I just want to mention regarding the sponsorship, we have different setups. You can sponsor as little as £50, and all the information is there. But the £50 thing, it allows companies to get retweets and retweets from our club. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities there for not necessarily a lot of money.
Excellent. Make sure you go and check it out, guys. And that is the interview, guys. Absolutely insightful to sit with Jakob, have a discussion around Iceland Cricket. Make sure you go check out the links in the description to go and support Iceland Cricket on Twitter, on Facebook. And if you're interested, the crowdfunding part of their process and what they're trying to do, it's absolutely incredible. Check out the dates in the description as well. They are playing in England. So if you guys are listening in England, you can go and watch their first international game. Hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. You guys have been legends. Until next time.